Shalom, Israel. My name is Officer Kayad, one out of I.S.U.P.K, Jamaica. I.S.U.P.K started 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. I.S.U.P.K is run by Commanding General YAHANNA, the one man with the rank and the authority to lead Israel at this time. I say, Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Brakatam to my brothers. Yahweh Shamar Alatan, Ba'asham Yahweh to my sisters. All right, so today we're going to talk about the cult church in Montego Bay, you know what I mean, that was sacrificing their members, you understand? And you know what I mean? But just to say to some people who say that this wasn't a church, this was a cult. The thing is, the Christian church has always been a cult. You understand? And that is a fact that you don't need to forget, you know what I mean, through the brain. The Christian church has always been a cult. You might not see human sacrifices, you know what I mean, happening inside the Christian church. But rest assured that you have been sacrificing in the Christian church. You have been sacrificing your children to that pedophile pastor who molests your children, you understand? And you never hold him accountable. You get what I say? Yeah, man, you sacrifice yourself in that Christian church. You understand? Your hard-earning money. You understand? Giving to a man to tell you a lie, tell you lies that are not in the Bible. So the Christian church has always been a cult. You understand? But we are gonna jump into the tape, and then we are gonna break it down. You understand?
Okay, so behind us is the scene of it's Pathways International Church, where we had an incident last night. A congregant here, a member of this church, who had been injured apparently when she chose to disobey some instructions given to her by the leaders of this organization, reported to the police that she had been injured, and other information that led us to believe that the persons here were at risk. We're aware that 144 congregants had been told to come here, to meet here. And on responding to that report from the person who was injured and coming here, the first teams of police that arrived were shot at, and so they waited on reinforcements to come. We were very concerned that some form of ritualized killing was going to take place here, and so we did an entry last night. We found that there were a couple of people who had been injured by other members of the church.
Yo, so me just come off of that scene, yo. Remember me tell us, yo, no, normal, brother. A couple people go to hospital, couple did well. I tell us, normal, brother. Serious it me tell you, man. One church member them stab up them one another, shoot up them one another. And then when the police come down and fire after them. Guys like, no, when the man look out, me go there, man. They make us say pass a naked thing. Handcuff now, lay down pan him belly now. Naked, no, brother. And it's like he make give a sound like him ball out. And the member them, you know, the whole of the woman them, cause the police had them on one side. Soldier pen them up and strap on them, you know. You see me? I had them on one side and I'm leaning over that spine there like him ball out like, and you hear the woman the one scream and the galan want to go help him. After what the man then they kill him one another, brother, and they stab up him one another. Brother, so knife the pan the scene a sign, but I first me my knife is some Rambo knife long in my youth. But the man they have a stab up him one another. And they don't see nothing wrong with this. It's like he can get them brother and charm them or brainwash them or do something to the people in my youth. I tell us say, no normal no youth happen there. No. The man there are 3 cow in the place there, in the yard, in the church business where them have, where they say they have. You see me? And like a leader tell one woman I like us if he kill the cow. The woman a buck shuffle. And then tell one man say kill the woman. The man slash the woman throat, you know. Live sitting there like people that did it tell you know. But it's like Them brainwash them, brother, so it's like no trouble for them. You see me? You see me? Yo, brother, the scene dirty, brother. Woman throat cut, man stab up. So if a long night upon the scene, brother, me tell you say I be a naked man. Every one of the man there naked now. Police when them just go there, no man. I pass time see a move. You don't know if you tell them cock stiff naked as the band going at the pool. You know. I be yo brother, me tell you something normal up there, brother. Yo, I don't know normal up there so since night. Yeah man, everybody naked. The whole of man them out there dress who get gunshots, stab wound. The whole of the man there naked, brother. Naked as the day them born.
All right, so watch this now. With the exception of the human sacrifice, you know what I mean? What is really different about every other Christian church? We always hear say, you know what I mean, child molestation take place in a Christian church. And this was what this pastor of this church in Mobile was doing. You know what I mean? Like the brother said. You understand? So where's the difference? All right, we're going to jump into a scripture right now. And this is the book of Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 3. And this is what it says. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel does not know, my people do not consider. You understand? The Most High is telling you that his people, Israel, don't know their master's crib, nor their owner. Even the dumb animal know. But Israel is so lost that we resort to even, you know what I mean, human sacrificing. And that's how we gone right now, you know, because we lost away, you know. You get to me, I say? Yeah, man. So, you know what I mean? It's time we abandon these churches because you're going to find out that the churches are going to get more outrageous and more outrageous as time pass. Because them not teach away in the Bible. That's the thing, you know. You see, if this pastor was teaching from the Bible, he would have known that human sacrifice was against the Most High. You know what I mean? People not dressed naked inside the church and child molestation and homosexuality. He would have known that that was against the Most High. You understand? So you can clearly see that these churches, by not teaching what is in the Bible, it can escalate into something very disgusting. You know what I mean? All right, we're going to jump to our next scripture. And this is the book of Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 21. And this is what it says. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech. All right, let me explain that. Molech is a hedonistic god. You know what I mean? An idol. That in the past, the Edens used to sacrifice, even today still, you know what I mean? To some extent, the Eden sacrificed to Molech. And what they would do, they would, you know what I mean, burn their children in fire as a sacrifice to Molech. See? So the Most High is telling the children of Israel, don't let your children pass through the fire. Meaning he's speaking against human sacrifices. You understand? But look what we have resorted to in the Christian church. In the Christian church, you are now having human sacrifices. What is next? And you can clearly see the homosexual team, the LGBT. So everything is, as we have been saying in the I.S.U.P.K. Just check the record. We have been telling you that your church is full of homosexuals and child molesters. You understand? That is what we have been telling you, you know. You know what I mean? Why? Because them don't teach the word of the Most High. Them don't teach the Bible. And you can never get the truth in the Christian church because the Christian church was handed down to you from your oppressor. It has nothing to do with the Bible. You know what I mean? We're telling you time and time again, but our people is so in love with the Christian church that they would defend them with their very lives. You know what I mean? And as in this case, it is literal because no, your pastor is sacrificing you and we have been imploring you to come out of the Christian church. No, your life is depending on it. You understand? All right, let me jump to another scripture. This is the book of Matthew. Chapter 24 and verse 4. We're going to read 4 and 5 first, and then we're going to jump to 11 and 12. You understand? This is what it says. And Yahushai, which is Jesus, you understand? The real name for Jesus Christ is Yahushai in the Hebrew, right? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. And we have been, telling our people to be careful. Take heed that no man deceive you. Continue reading verse 5. For many shall come in my name. And remember, this was when Christ was on the earth, this was 2,000 years ago, before there was any building called the Christian church, See, and he might tell us, many shall come in my name. Continue reading. Saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. So the Christian church come about now and I deceive many, telling them that, they are the house of God, and they are the representation of Christ and what, all these things. But in reality, you can clearly see that they are really the house of Satan, like we have been telling you, that the Christian church is the house of Satan. Even Satan disguised himself as an angel of light. And that I want to need to understand. The Christian church is not the house of God in any way, shape, or form. You understand? So let me jump down to verse 11. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. Many false prophets are going to come about, man. You understand? And deceive many. And many of our people are deceived. You understand? Many of our people are deceived. Those people inside that church that the sacrifice took place in, they were deceived. Deceived so much that they watched their pastor and other members slaughter their brothers and sisters in front of them, and watch their pastor moving towards a young boy to molest him, and still thinking that he's a man of God, Just think about that for a second, These are the things that you condone in the Christian church. Things like these. Pastors molesting children, homosexuality, and them little thing there. You understand? And you don't say nothing. You don't see it as a red flag. You understand? Continue reading verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, iniquity, which is sin, shall abound. What that mean? Abound. Abound mean it shall be plenteous. It shall be widespread. So because people keep breaking the laws of the Most High, which is the gauge in which judge whether or not you're a sinner or not. When you keep the law is when you are righteous. When you break the law, you're a sinner. Because so many people is breaking the laws of the Most High right now. This is what it says. The love of many shall wax cold. So the love of many shall wax cold. You can clearly see in this scenario that there was no love in this Christian pastor, nor the members. That they watch, members slaughtering members inside the church. The love of many shall wax cold. And the Christian church, bear in mind, the Christian church is that place that teach you that the laws of the Most High is done away with. The law of Moses, which is the law given to Moses, which judge whether or not you're a sinner or you're a righteous person. The definition of sin is when you break the law. You understand? And the Christian church, every single Christian church tell you that the law of Moses is done away with. The law of sacrifice is done away with when you burn animals. Christ is now that sacrifice. That is what was done away with. The literal you burning a lamb, or sacrificing a lamb, or sacrificing a goat, or sacrificing a ox, or them thing there. You see it? That is now you have to use Christ to represent that. But the laws that Moses gave to the children of Israel is still in effect and can never be out of, done away with. And Christ himself said it. You understand? So your Christian church is the house of sin. Don't be surprised when you see them slaughtering their members in front of the congregation. You cannot be surprised. This seems strange, but it should not be strange to know. The Christian church has always been, the house of sin. And you have been in the Christian church so long, you see where go on. So why you don't expect that your pastor will sacrifice, And don't think he's the only one. You understand? All right, so, and for years, over the years, the I.S.U.P.K has been telling you that, you need to keep the laws of the Most High. You need to do the right thing. come back to no customers, blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indians, the children of Israel. Come back to your culture. Keep these laws so that the Most High can get us out of this captivity. The Bible is not for the oppressor, it's only for the children of Israel. Who call we a cult. Meanwhile, all of this what we are saying is inside of the Bible and cannot be refuted. You make your pastor cherry pick little scriptures and brainwash you with his interpretation. You know what I mean? And give him a cult-like following. Meanwhile, calling us a cult. When we don't molest children, we are not homosexuals in the ISUPK. We don't do human sacrifices. You understand? We don't do any of these things and you call us a cult. Well, guess what? You can call me a cult leader. Because if my cult is righteous, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High and not doing any of those evil things in the Christian church, call me a cult then. And call the Christian church whatever you want to call it. But just know this. When you are in that Christian church, you might be sacrificed. You understand? And with that, I say like the video. You know what I mean? Pay on the tithes. Remember the trip, the mission to Acuna, where the I.S.U.P.K and the commanding general, GEN.YAHANNA, fed the Asian refugees that were stuck on the Mexican-American border with our own money. You understand? Without risking our own lives, our brothers, Captain Zach. You understand? And his men went down to Acuna, risking their lives, a dangerous trip, just to feed our brothers. Your Christian pastor don't do those things. Your Christian pastor don't put his life in danger. For uno, him take uno money and he make himself rich and then him sacrifice uno. And with that, shalom.